Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Musical People's Journey special. Tonight we have probably I would say, one of the most up-and-coming, exciting bands in the UK, Molly Karloff, are with me to you. Welcome to Nico, to Joey, and to Simon. Welcome to the show, people.
Woo!
Hello.
Woo! Hello, everyone.
So, before we start, my daughter, who's 15 years old, has asked me to say, "Rock on, chaps! Breaking is her favourite single from last year. Playing it in the car when I was told to interview about a couple of months ago, and has been on her playlist ever since. Absolutely loves it. Absolutely loves it. So that's for my daughter, and I think it's a fantastic track as well. So first things first, this show's all about people's journeys and where they're coming from and where they're going. So first question then, in terms of the band, in terms of where you're at right now, how would you describe your music in its terms? Are you a rock and roll band? Are you a heavy metal band? What are you, or how would you pigeonhole your music?
That's a good question.
Yeah, we can't really be pigeonholed. There's as many different answers to that as there are people that listen to our music, I think. When we first sort of started out, it was a problem because promoters, they want to know where to stick you, don't they, onto which events and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And everyone, I did the usual thing, like the straw poll amongst family members. They all came up with different answers, different bands. I've read reviews of our work, and some of the journalists come up would be like, "What? How did you even hear that?" I mean, I know there was one interview years ago where someone said in one of our songs we went full Guns N' Roses. I'm like, where did that happen? So I think it kind of depends on what the listener listens to as to what they hear in our stuff. And it's probably fair to say we've got quite a eclectic mix of influences. So I guess that kind of goes into the cauldron.
Yeah, I understand the Guns N' Roses analogy, not in terms of the style of music or the sound that you make, but in terms of the tempo of your music. In terms of because you can go quite, from what I've heard anyway, is you can go from heavy rock to kind of heavy indie. And Guns N' Roses were able to switch that style up, and I think you switch your tempo up, but you certainly have that kind of tempo there, if you see what I mean. I can see it. I don't think you sound like Guns N' Roses, but I think the tempo of your music, I see where people can come from. In terms
we take a similar roller coaster ride, is what you're trying to say.
Absolutely. So how did it start? Who formed the band? How long have you been going? So.
The first EP was recorded back in 2014 with two other people, completely different people in the band at the time. Without going into the ins and outs of stuff, it kind of fell apart through some disagreements in the band at the time, and then it was a few years later, after I got a bit disillusioned with the whole sort of music industry and everything else. Pretty much nothing much has changed. So, but we then sort of got the band back together. Sounds like bad line from a film, doesn't it? Let's get the band back together.
The bad lines from films are always the best and the most memorable.
Yeah. So we put it back together, and I mean the first EP. It was recorded really rough and ready. It was recorded live in. All we did was all of us were in the room together, recorded live, no click track, nothing, which you can hear because the tempo's all over the place.
Roller coaster ride.
Yeah, exactly. Did 3 takes of each song, and then just picked the best take of each one. So it really is like warts and all. There's no room for drop-ins or you're polishing this bit up, because there just wasn't. And then the studio we were in ended up sort of closing down, and long story short, we lost the stems, so the masters weren't even from the mix that we were trying to have. And really, we kind of put it out really originally because everyone was going, what do you sound like? Give us a list of bands you sound like. Well, how long's a piece of string? It's one of those questions. You could literally pick almost any band, and there'd be an element of it in there somewhere. And the list of bands we've been compared to is just stupidly long and stupidly widely varied as well. So it started back then, and then I guess it's taken a while to sort of settle down with the right people.
You'll get there one day.
One day we'll find a decent singer and a decent guitarist.
3 is a magic number,
It's probably more important in a 3-piece than it is in 5, because I think I've been in 5-piece and 4-piece bands as well before, and there's always 1 or 2 members that kind of sort of fade into the shadows. They don't become much engaged. And if you think about a lot of bands, there's always 1 or 2 members that people don't really know or wouldn't get recognised on the street from big major bands. So I think that in a 3-piece, it's probably more important that you have 3 people singing from the same hymn sheet. So it's just taken a while to get that mix of someone playing the technically being good enough to play the parts and then fit in with the band, and also there's not just the playing ability, it's everything else that goes along with that. And I think it's safe to say we've finally touched wood. I haven't got any wood around. My wooden door behind me. Touch wood that we've now quelled the bassist curse that we had. We put. Do you think we put you through the grill, Nico? In your
you tested me. Me. But I prepared quite a lot.
How did they test you, Nico? What did they do then?
Well, I had a list of songs initially.
We got out on
I believe it was 5 or 6, and just off my own back, I went and learnt a few other songs that weren't on the list, and then all of a sudden, before I knew it, we were doing a cover that none of us had agreed to doing anyway, and we just decided to go ahead and play, and it just worked straight off the bat.
What song was that? What
playing
cover?
guitar, and we did Alice in Chains, Man in the Box.
Okay.
Oh I forgot about that. Yeah, we did it in the audition.
Yeah, we just threw it in, and then we started just doing a jam, and it seemed to work from there. But it's like, so I've come from playing guitar and things like that, so I tend to play a lot of chord structures and play the bass like a guitar, it is a guitar anyway at the end of the day. But I add sort of chords to try and fill out the sound and try and find that niche within there that suited Joey and Simon both, that they were not getting from other people beforehand. So obviously not knocking anyone's ability or anything like that. It's just sort of finding my own niche within that.
Kind of put him through through his paces, basically because when Joey first applied. Joey, did you know that you applied to play the bass?
I did. That was my first gig with you. Was on bass.
Actually, it was, wasn't it? So that's actually not a incorrect statement either, is it? The first gig that we got immediately after Joey joined, our bassist at the time left as soon as Joey joined. I told Joey it wasn't him, but it definitely was him.
Yeah.
Oh no!
When Nico applied, I think there was like 3 people that applied from Newport, which I was quite surprised because we it was not like nobody knew where we were. Maybe people don't look, I don't know, but when I sort of said, well, it's a bit of a trek to come for rehearsals, and I said, at the best we could maybe sort of meet, halfway. I don't know, Gloucester or Cheltenham or something like that. And they all were like, yeah, it's probably a bad idea, which is kind of what I thought. If you live that far away, it's just not normally going to work. But Nico wasn't taking no for an answer. I was like, right, he better be fucking good if he's going to come up here. And so we were kind of
this
like,
way.
yeah, we kind of like were paying a little bit more attention to what he was doing to try and, I suppose, try and not pick holes, but like make sure that, well, if there is going to be that distance issue, then it better be worth it. Do you know what I mean?
They were really secretly hoping I was rubbish.
You proved them wrong, mate.
To be honest, it would have solved the problem, wouldn't it? No, we had another guy who had at one point previously been in the band in a sort of interim stage for a while, and so I knew him, and he lived locally, and so we thought, oh, he's local, I know he can do the job. But yeah, he didn't seem, even though he seemed to have everything stacked in his favour, he didn't really sort of come in and make a good show of himself, which, so when Nico came in, actually I think Nico had come in before.
Nico was first and blew us away, and then this guy that we thought was going to be the guy was directly after, and like after about 10 seconds we were just looking at each other like, nah, it's Nico.
Yeah, I half expected Gordon, our manager, to go, look, get out. I honestly, and I was thinking it as well. I was like, what the fuck is this? It's like, I'll tell you what happened. He hadn't learned any of the songs. I decided he was going to try and jam them in the rehearsal. Who does that? And I was kind of annoyed. I sort of knew him anyway, and it's almost like I kind of felt that maybe he hadn't like learned it because he knew me, and so he thought he was in there already. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, with all those things stacked in his favour, he was a very, very distant second behind Nico. It literally wasn't even a fucking hard. It wasn't a hard choice to make at all.
And so how do you and Joey know each other then? You obviously formed the band or reformed the band to kind of together then. Is that right? So do you two know each other previously, or did you actually approach Joey as well?
Knew of each other. Sorry, you tell the story.
I'll tell the story.
Yeah, go on.
Molly were playing at one of our locals, the Wheat Sheaf, no longer there, God rest its soul. But my other band was Support, and I was watching them, completely blown away by Molly Karloff. I'm thinking to myself, I reckon I could do a better job than that drummer, and it wasn't long after, was it like a month after? Or something like that? Simon, because we met that night, obviously, gave me a message and said, hey, do you know any drummers? Because I was playing guitar in the other band. And I said, yeah.
Yeah, baby, bring it on.
A real good one. So went along for the audition, and I think, did I have 2 auditions? I can't remember. I forget. But
yeah, well, there was one other guy, and we weren't that good at auditioning. In fact, we aren't as a band very good at auditioning people, which is why we got Gordon in before as well. Because part of the problem with the bassist is that we kind of like, if someone almost fitted the bill, we jumped on them and like, yeah, let's get them in, because you basically get sick of doing auditions. Do you know what I mean? It's going through the same stuff and going, no, can you change that? No, can you do that? And it kind of gets a bit annoying. I suppose it's just as annoying for people that are doing the auditions, but it's probably, I think it's when you've got to do loads of them, and you usually book a block of, I don't know, 4 or 5, and you sat there, and then the next one's in, and you're trying to make them get through stuff before the next person comes. It's kind of annoying. So there is that temptation. I think me and Joey kind of fell into that, going, oh, these guys fit the bill.
The guy before Nico, Sam on bass, he's in our last lot of videos. We basically auditioned him and gave him the job in the pub.
yeah, that's how shit we were at auditioning.
You obviously got better.
He didn't even have
So what's your roles in the band then? Simon, you're lead guitar and vocalist, is that right?
Yeah.
And then Joey's on drums and Nico is on basses, so that's pretty much how it stacks up. And so who is it predominant you then, Simon or Joey? How do you write the music then? Who's responsible for that? So
I bring my little ideas in as offerings into band rehearsal, and then they either go, yeah, that sounds all right, or they reject it. Do you remember when I had about 5 or 6 tracks on the trot? So I brought in, and they just like panned it. They were like, no, that's shit. no, that's shit. And I started to go, oh, fuck, maybe I've started writing shit stuff now, because we've got this rule in the band, the would you buy it rule, where if there's something we think's all right, so usually if it gets past me bringing the riff into the studio, and we go, yeah, let's work on that, and then we normally sort of record what's there just on an iPhone. Stick the phone up in the middle of the room, and then listen to it like the next day. And the idea is that you want to try and imagine that, ignoring the fact it's recorded on an iPhone and it's better quality and all that sort of stuff. Imagine if it wasn't your band, but it was another band you heard somewhere else and you heard it on the radio. Would you buy it? And if the answer's not yes, then we dump it, or it might be yes, but only if it had this change to it or something like that, So it's not like a sort of just we kick it out. But although some songs have been, haven't they? We thought they sounded great at the time, and then the next morning it's like, oh, that's shit. Or it may. Well, there's been one or two that didn't really fit us, did they? I had a few songs that kind of, because I don't really think about what gets written. It just kind of, it's almost like I don't really write it myself. It kind of just pops into my head, and then I frantically go and try and record what was in my head.
Well, Simon, I've got news for you, mate. It's your head, so it is. It's you.
Yeah. But it's not like what I'm trying to say is like when I watch like other bands saying how they write, and one or two members maybe sit down and maybe someone comes up with a riff, but then there's like a discussion as to what they're going to write about and the lyrics, and you see sometimes documentaries on Lennon and McCartney and people like that and the way they wrote, and it seems to be more of a deliberate process that they think about. There is no thinking on my part. It's in my head. It's almost like you just hear some music in your head and they go, oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, you're subconsciously thinking about it, aren't you? Talking about you, Mika, can I just double back to Nico for a minute? Nico, I picked up on something that the guy said is like you wouldn't go away. You would absolutely determined to kind of get this audition. Fucker. Why? What? You what? Sorry, what did you say?
I'm a persistent fucker.
Good. So why though? What appealed to their music that really say I want to be part of that?
Well, going back to obviously you saying about your first question being about like sort of what sound do you guys fall into and that. Now I'm a big grunge head. I enjoy my grunge, anything sort of that genre, the 90s sort of sound, and there was like a whole mix of like. It was strange when I was listening to the songs and I saw their post on Facebook and I was like, I know who the fuck they are. Hold on, what? Another bassist, right? Okay, no, I need that one because they need a full-time guy kind of thing. And like I noticed there was some Alice in Chains chucked in there. Then there was a bit of Pantera grunge, like groove metal stuff going on, and then Queens of the Stone Age just only popping out of a couple other bits and bobs, and it was all sort of stuff that I was into, and I thought, right, well, this isn't something that is being played by everybody. This is quite a niche sort of sound, and not everybody's pushing this. So I thought, well, I'd freshly come out of another touring project that just was my thing in the end, and yeah, just I thought this was more sort of suited to me and my style, so I basically badgered the shit out of Simon. I was like, oh, do you want this? And then I think I sent like 10 videos of me just playing like 30-second snippets of the songs and him just going, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. And I wasn't satisfied with my own play. Well, not satisfying myself. So I then just go to the boss and make sure that it's okay with him.
Yourself.
I'm asking the questions here. Nico, talk about satisfying. Right, talk about satifying herself. If I do not let Trish get a word in edgeways and ask her questions, I would never be forgiven. So it comes the Trish section of the interview. Trish.
Okay, how did you come up with the name of the band?
It was so we had a different name before, and it never quite sat well with me. So it was back with we had two Polish guys in the band that were sort of original well, they weren't actually original members. The bassist off the first EP was Polish, and the drummer He left, and then another guy came in who just happened to be Polish because there's, and we were discussing. I was like, I want to change the name of the band because it doesn't really sit well. And I always liked bands that have names that like a person's name, like Franz Ferdinand. And I can't even. I knew I only did one example that popped into my head, but there's loads of others. And particularly if you're like a male band and you have something that's maybe female. We did look at Boris and Doris Karloff, but of course Doris Karloff is Anne Widdecombe's nickname, which is not a good idea to use. Could evoke the wrong sort of image. We're definitely not an Anne Widdecombe. But yeah, I can't remember how the Molly bit came up. It just somebody might have been me. I can't remember honestly. But the Karloff bit with relationship to Boris Karloff, basically because of his sort of his image and his sort of groundbreaking, break the rules, alternative kind of aura, if you like. Really, it's kind of fitted and resonated with what we were, what we think we're about. We might not actually be about that at all. We might just be pretentious twats, but that kind of fit. And then when the word Molly came up, it just as soon as you heard it, Molly Karloff, it was like, that's it. And everyone in the room was like, yeah, that's it. And that was it. Just decision done. We had to change our name, and that was done. It was it wasn't we have had the story that it was perpetuated around. I think it was by the BBC actually, because I said it as a joke to some other journalist that we were named after Boris Karloff's great granddaughter, and that she was like I made up this bullshit that she was like a sort of wild socialite. We were called after her. And it was. I mean, when I said it, it was blatantly a joke. And I thought in the conversation that the other guy, I forget who it was, had thought it was a joke. Anyway, it made it into the interview. It got published, and then we did an interview with the BBC, which I think was either just after lockdown. I remember we didn't go into the studio. It was done on Zoom. And they brought it up, and they go, so apparently you're named after Boris Karloff's great granddaughter, and I just started laughing. And then it's become like it sort of ran on with itself as a sort of standing joke, and I couldn't be bothered to deny it. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of. I mean, we have since denied it, and I'm obviously denying it now. I've told you the real story, but and it was also as a story, it was easier to say than the whole. We sat down.
Yeah.
It's like named after Boris.
When you describe how you write your music, then and it comes naturally and it just comes, then it makes sense, really, doesn't it? So, Trish, next question.
Okay, each of you, what is your favourite track on the latest album?
Ooh,
Good
Joey.
Come back to me.
Ah, mate, come on.
I think I know which is Joey's one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nico, how about you?
Well, what's yours,
I know
Simon?
Joey's. I know.
I think Joey's got personality.
I know Joey's.
Oh.
It is. It's called personality.
Yeah,
Hey.
Absolutely.
it's mine as well.
Is it? Yes.
Yeah, written it down.
Everyone's-
Cult of personality.
Good taste.
Simon, yours?
I think probably You Don't Know My Name to play.
Oh, yeah.
Just because the solo is the most fun to play. And actually liking to listen to it. It's a toss up between that and probably Higher Than the Sun, maybe. I don't know. It's hard. I don't. Favourites don't stay favourites for very long with me. I get bored in my
mix
mood.
them up. I guess it depends also when you're playing live.
Better
What
be
about you,
careful,
Nico?
boys. Whoever's your favourite, whoever's his favourite right now, you're not going to last very long. Okay, just saying. All right, there. So. How about you, Nico?
Higher Than the Sun caught me straight off the bat. I love that just because it's a predominantly bass-driven song on it, and Black Flame as well. There's a lot of bass in that to play, so
Yeah,
I quite enjoy it.
heavy, isn't it?
I forgot about that name.
Okay.
I forget about
Right.
tracks on there.
I'm going to have 2 quick fire questions, and then I'm going to hand back to Nigel because obviously I'm aware of time. Favourite film? Straight off the bat, Joey.
Jaws. No,
Simon.
Hedwig. Hedwig and the Angry.
It's probably the What's It trilogy, the Matrix
Blade.
trilogy.
Matrix. Nico.
Back to the Future.
Okay. Favourite singer? Simon.
Chris Cornell.
Joey.
Freddie Mercury.
Bowie. Oh, okay. Nico.
Lane Staley.
See, all of those other 2 singers would have been that could toss around. Ask on another day, I'd say Freddie Mercury or Lane. Yeah, I think they're interchangeable. Those 3, aren't they?
True.
Well,
Okay, Nigel, back to you.
A couple of things. You mentioned that you have a manager, which when we interview bands is very unusual. So you said his name was Gordon. So how did that come about then? So why did you go down the manager route? And what does he do for you? Does he go getting you gigs? How does it work?
Well, he was our manager at the time. Our manager now is Katie.
You have a manager then, so
the reason we.
As in Katie Richardson.
Yeah.
White Raven Down.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know Katie. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the reason we brought a manager in, I think, is just to have like, because when you're in a band, you're in like a little bubble, aren't you? And you don't have any real external perspective. And like even though it's 3, 4, and there's other people that are around the periphery of the band that are basically almost in the band as well. And there's always people that if you want to make a decision, you put it out there. But the manager normally is kind of that voice that's on the outside, and if someone needs to be nasty, they could be the nasty one. That sort of person that us 3 can't very well be. And just someone to kind of make sure things don't go wildly off track, because there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, in a band these days, it's not just playing writing the music and then going to a studio record and then tour. It's all the other crap that back in the day, I guess, record companies used to do, like all the marketing and the PR and all that shit. So it's someone to kind of keep a sort of, I don't know how to describe it, because they manage
the glue of it all together.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, he still works with us. He still does bookings and stuff like that. So I think the primary function at first was as a booking agent. So we still use Gordon and obviously Katie for that. But I think just Katie's sort of experience with some of the bands that she manages kind of fitted with what we were looking at doing. Yeah, I think that's fair, isn't it? I feel like I'm doing all the talking here, but yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. I have to say that of all the bands that we've kind of looked at, your website is probably one of the best websites for bands that that I've seen. Genuinely, I despair. When people don't have a website and the information on that, it's really good. It's really good. So thumbs up on that sort of stuff. And I was just looking at your tour dates, which you've got coming up. So February in Wolverhampton and Bridgewater, and then Great Yarmouth, Newcastle, and your Waterloo Music Bar. What spring? You've got Springfest 2004 at the Waterloo Music Bar. Is that in London then, or is that where is that?
No, that's in Blackpool, isn't it? It's Blackpool, isn't it? Springfest, yeah. Springfest is in Blackpool. Yeah, the Waterloo Music Bar's in. Yeah, I've never been there, to be honest, but it's a bit. Oh, I've been to Blackpool, but not to the Waterloo Music Bar. So yeah, that's there. And there's a couple of other things I think as well. You mentioned Stoke, and there's other stuff in the works throughout the year, and obviously Katie and Gordon are working on next year as well, because the festivals kind of get booked up like really, really early. So yeah, and there's a couple of other things that haven't been announced yet, just because details are being sort of finalised. But it was kind of difficult, wasn't it, to sort of Nico won't know because he wasn't in the band at the time. But until Nico came in, it was kind of difficult to sort of concentrate just on getting gigs when you've got loads of other crap going on, like auditioning bassists, or then you get a bassist in and then turns out not to be quite right for the band because you're shit at auditioning people because you give people the job in the pub. It's a big distraction, really, and so it meant that a lot of stuff that probably would have got done had Nico been in, I don't know, in the band at the beginning of the year, maybe then it might have a different 23. But hindsight for you, isn't it?
So your album, is not on Amazon Music, is it? The singles are. Why?
Yeah, that was deliberate. Well, the streaming companies, they pay us a pittance. There was a time, going back a few years back now, probably about 3-4 years, maybe a bit longer. What are we in now? 24, so probably about 5 or 6 years actually. When from about sort of 1,000 streams online, you could expect to get about sort of $25. Nowadays, it's closer to $2.50 for the same number of streams. And I don't know what the recent pay structure changes that Spotify have just brought in how it's going to affect us, but it's only going to go down. So I thought, well, when you release an album just on Spotify, everything is just splurged there, and the reason we're dropping this, all of the songs from the album will eventually make it onto the streaming platforms. But if people want to, I figure that there is enough stuff on there now that if you listen to what's there and you like it, that's enough to make an informed decision as to whether you want to buy the album. Yeah, exactly. So either on CD or vinyl, or
CD.
or you can download the WAV files or the MP3 files. But I didn't want us to just give away given the amount of money you spend in the studio, production wise and everything else. It just seems to be a waste of money just to stick it on Spotify. So yeah, it will make it on there, but we're releasing one track roughly every 6 weeks or so until all of it is out, and then all of it will be on streaming. But in the meantime, we're going to take advantage of the release radar on Spotify, which happens every time you release a song, so it helps to do it. Yeah. Just drip feed it, and use it to push lots of other stuff, because it's like a little bump in the publicity. It's something else to announce, and it's just more about marketing and making the most of what we've got. And we're not like a electronic dance band that can churn out, I don't know, a song a week, because you can't just do it what we do in.
Not to the quality that you do it. Actually, if we'll liaise, Trish, if we manage to get the MP files, then I can, because normally we review albums based on the fact it's on Amazon Music because it's so accessible for everybody. But if I can get the files, then we'll distribute it out and we'll put it onto our review schedule. So because I think you might do rather well.
I'll shoot you over a link. Shoot me over. I'll shoot a link over.
We'll get that sorted. So what's the plan then for you guys for this year? Is it lots of touring, or trying to get as much touring, as much dates into the Canada to support the album, I presume? That's basically that's lots of touring, basically, as much touring as we can fit in throughout the year, and just trying to grow the profile of the band to bigger than where we are. I mean, we have got sort of set goals on what that looks like at what stage, but I don't want to sort of tempt fate by saying, by this, we hope that in a year's time we will be able to fill this capacity venues and that sort of thing. But for now, the festivals obviously are a good place to pick up new fans, and touring, just pulling out the hat as many dates as we can. You must have had a little smile on your face when one of the reviews that you got was what Royal Blood would sound like if they wrote good songs to their guitar, to their riffs. I mean, Fireworks magazine. I mean, that cracked me up. That did. So I've got to say. So
Yeah, I did laugh. We stuck that quote on some of our marketing stuff as well, just because it was just made me laugh. I don't know. I doubt that the guys in Royal Blood have ever seen it, but it'd be funny if they did. You know?
What? So, if you had to pick a band other than yourselves right now, that you know, because we can go like, oh, what was your band from the 1890s? But right now, what's your favourite? If you have to listen to an album right now or a band right now, who would it be, Simon? To start with you.
I have to say the last 3 albums of Queens of the Stone Age, just because they keep changing and they keep moving forward, and nothing sounds the same. It's a progression, but it's not a massive departure from what they did before. So particularly the last 3 albums are almost like, I think the last 3 albums are almost like a trilogy. Like they were, I don't think they were, but it's almost like they were written. And when you listen to them all back to back, which I did recently, it's like this is. And it just keeps getting better. I don't know how they're going to keep following it up, but at the moment, until I get bored of that, I mean, I do sort of, flip flop in and out of different bands, but I do have a soft spot for some of the, particularly after them Crooked Vultures, when I think Josh Homme kind of picked up some writing skills from John Paul Jones when they were working together in that band. I think some of the riffs and things that they came up with in Queens of the Stone Age improved immeasurably after that point. Literally anything with a riff, really. Something that's got a big hook that you can't get out of your head, and that's right up my street.
Joey?
There's a band called Woos that I'm obsessed with at the moment. They're just damn cool. They're the kind of band you wake up in the morning like you don't want to do anything. You pop on this song. It's called "I'll Have What She's Having" by Woos.
Okay,
check it out. And I'm ready for the day now. Come on.
Get on.
I love those guys.
And finally, Nico.
Mastodon. I enjoy a fair bit of Mastodon. Started getting back into them as recently, but yeah, it's like again very riffy sort of driven music. So yeah, quite enjoy Mastodon.
Well, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to kind of meet you and chat and hear your story. And we think you're a special band. It's no surprise that you're in there with White Raven Down, who I think they got into our top 10 albums of the year. I really do wish you all the best. I think you're absolutely fantastic. Breaking Out is definitely the best of your songs. Sorry, but there we go. I've just put my oar in on that one. But keep on rocking. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thank you to Simon. Thank you to Joey. Thank you to Nico. Thank you to my co-host, to Trish. If you like what you've heard, please like and subscribe our channel, because it all counts. It all matters. And check out Molly Karloff. Check out the website. It's absolutely terrific. Check out their tour dates. Check them out. Honestly, guys, if you love your rock music, you are going to love these music. It's going to take you by storm. Thank you very much, and good night, everybody.